Morning. Well, this is going to be a quick demo of where I'm at. I'm getting so close. I've got some string escaping that I need to address. But otherwise, I think I'm about ready for pushing this out to the wild. So, what the hell am I talking about? That'd be the user logger module and its use. So I'm starting Klipper up here on a printer, and
starting. I am Brody.
Hi Brody.
User modules loaded. Bed mesh default. Checking for updated config.
So yes, obviously I've got
config changes.
speech synthesis going.
Extruder 1 bed 0.
With Google text to speech, it sounds a hell of a lot better than any other native TTS engines. So
make a channel selection.
I can't put it there. It's the only thing about my user interaction module that I dislike is the fact that because of the polling I do in the background, so this thing isn't blocking, I have to use a separate input
playing channel 15
field.
Fruit salad.
The guys over at Mainsail came up with the ability to auto collapse the macro panes when I put a feature request out there. So I'm testing it right now. I don't know if it's going to hit mainstream soon or if they're going to push it into a future release, but anyways, that's what this is all about, the auto collapsing macros. I don't know if I like it or not, even though I requested it. The nice thing it does have is by macro pane, you can enable or disable that feature. So, at any rate, let's get down to the debug. So, I'm going to show the log links, and I've got this set up with and I'll show it here in a minute, but if you mouse over, if you look down in the lower right hand corner, you'll see that I've got custom URI MIME types associated with each one of these 5 links, and I've used custom URI protocol handlers on the host, or I'm sorry, on the client machine here, my dev box, to actually cause, when I click this and I approve it, to cause it to spawn a PuTTY session that automatically connects to the Klipper host and then runs a set of commands on it, i.e. namely tail, to implement log viewing features. So I've got the structure set up right now where there's 1 root log and then there's 4 descendant logs, of which the root's the ancestor, of course. Fucking thing, come on. I'm tired still, waking up. I went through and I got cute and figured out how to name the windows. Specifically, instead of having the IP address be displayed in the window title for each of these logging sessions. So, excuse me, make it quite a bit more intuitive. I'm going to slide these over just so I can get off of the main window. So, as you can see, there's 4 sublogs. At instance boot, when Klipper starts, I have it touch log file and write a set of 5-7 entries just as a visual indicator that A, I'm alive and working, my logging functions are operating as intended, and I've got connectivity with the log file. Further, as you can see over here, the root logger does that as well. And then the 4 child loggers are sequenced to emit not only code into their logs when they get a log message request, but also to echo it to the root log. I had to not use Klipper's root logging feature sets, because if I did that, then all of the changes would propagate up and cause Klipper's logs to swell. And you'll see a lot of traffic in here, and I didn't want that. Alright, I've got the ability to individually turn on logging by quote-unquote domain, such that if I want to just watch the code trace stuff, I can. If I want to just watch G movement commands, I can. If I'm interested in chasing my tail with G code state saves and restores, I can. And then obviously save variable is salient to a lot of this operations, not only with the logger, not so much with the logger, but definitely with my user interaction and text to speech and whatnot. I slammed the shit out of save variables quite hard, so that's one of the reasons I gave it its own log. No, I hate being so ill. The user interaction's nice from the perspective that it can prompt, it being Klipper scripts, G-code, macros, can be used to prompt the printer user for various things. So, for example, we're just going to rotate the logs real quick to demonstrate how that works, just so you guys can see it. I mean, woohoo, it's a rotating log, right? For fuck's sakes. Really? You got wrap on? I must have done that. Alright, so as you can see here, this is a directory listing of the log directory. And, excuse me, we've got the 5 groups of related logs: composite, gmove, save variables, G-code state, and code trace logging. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the printer that I want to rotate the logs. It's going to say, okay, if you do, then it's going to require a Klipper restart, because the Python loggers need to let go of the old file handles and grab the new ones. So in this case, I'm going to say yes, continue. And then what's happened right here is the scripts have called log rotate. I've got a custom comp file, configuration file I set up to facilitate this log rotating because I didn't like the way Python naming conventions were. So anyways, I'll show that in a second. But here's, this is the 4 different logs that got rotated, or 5 I should say. And then say, okay, now there's no errors, cancel no to abort or any other UI button to restart. So we're going to go ahead and just confirm it. And you'll see it bounce itself here in a second. While we're doing that, we'll come over here and do another LS. And as you can see, logs have rotated and they're going to be much smaller than they were. So the only thing I haven't scripted, and I don't know that I'm going to spin my wheels to try to do so, is an automatic close and refresh of the frickin' logging session. Come on, Todd, get with it, son. 1. Yes. 2. Yes. 3. 4. 5. Alright, so just to do it's painful. I know watching people do shit that you might be faster at or quicker with, and you just want to grab a hold of fucking mouse and keyboard and say, let me drive. So apologies if you're suffering that mindset here. I'm not the fastest, but and fuck shell. So as you can see, we've got reset logs here with fresh spawn messages, and that's it. So let's turn some logging on and see some magic. So I've got an issue with the string escaping on save variables, so I'm not going to turn that on because that causes problems. But for code trace,
Code trace debug enabled. G-code state debug enabled.
and
G-code trace enabled.
gmove and gcode state, we can see in the trace log those commands are being processed. And then you'll see also in the trace log every 30 seconds I've got a proc that runs that checks my water cooler stuff to make sure that temps are good, that the pumps are running, that the cooling fan's running, etc. So just to show that. So yeah, every 30 seconds it checks these 4 parameters, verifies that they're within the bounds I've assigned, and then if they aren't, it starts bitching quite hard. I've got a uber loud alarm on this. It's ear piercing actually, and I've also got connectivity scripting set up so that this thing will emit a SMS message and will also send Telegram messaging if things are out of bounds. Example of that is here. So if I look at Brody, you can see he announced when he went offline, he announces when he's ready, and then obviously I've got it programmed for him to announce when I emit the H2O parameters. Goodbye. You know what? Let me clear this. Excuse me. Again, apologies for the upper respiratory issues you're listening and suffering with. So, we've got logging instantiated, and let's go ahead and just tell this thing to do a quick QGL. This is where things can get interesting and show the value. So obviously composite log is everything. Lower left of the sublogs here is a trace. This is G code state, and then obviously the G move. Hey, I've got process depth indicators on the code tracing so that the gives a visual cue of what the hell's going on. And then for each start, each process, each G-code macro that starts, it depicts what the macro's name is and the parameters that were passed to it. And except for for my string handling stuff, I still have to fix. Those are some fix me's here. But I think I should be done with those this weekend. And when a proc is done, it encapsulates the procedure's name or the macro's name within brackets and lowercases it. So just wee bit little stuff to try to make the tool as graphically, visually useful as possible when one is chasing their tails with fighting an issue. So, and I thought that the 4 would be good. Having a 5th composite one I thought was going to be nice, but I found it's actually quite useful because it allows me to look at the interaction between the various commands and make sure that timing is functioning like it should. As far as macros go. We're just about done with the QGL code here. That's it. So, as you can see, it dropped out with the quad gantry level done. And if we scroll all the way back to the top here, you can see after I done spewing my verbal vomit that it started with the quad gantry level command. And in this case, there's no values being passed around. It seems there is a text limit, length limit of the text being logged by the logger, and that is 79 characters between the line start apostrophe and the line end apostrophe. From here to there, 79 characters. Excuse me. So, and obviously date and time tags are important, as well as what module it's coming from, but that captures what consumes 40% of my logging line length. So I'm going to see if I can't nix the date portions and maybe, you know, buy some real estate, another 10 characters of useful informational feedback per log entry line. So at any rate, I think that about wraps up what I wanted to show you. I'll go ahead and put this up on YouTube as well as link to the logging module and the rest of my config so you guys can kind of get an idea what the hell I'm doing in the background to make all this play like it does. So, that be that. Sorry for the, again, sinus issues and for not being very terse. You take care.